Time to talk about the clone stamp and the healing brush. And I've been using Photoshop for a long time, and these tools still bring a smile to my face. I really enjoy manipulating photos and getting them to look exactly how I want, or just doing silly things with them. But I'm going to go into 01 clone stamp. And the first thing about the clone stamp tool right here, it's important to point out that if you go to one of the GR2 brushes and I say, hey, go grab a soft brush, all these brushes here are actually regular brushes. You can see their icons because these are brush presets. So if you're in the clone stamp and I say, hey, you really want to use a soft edge brush, you need to go into your brush tip shape and just select a soft brush, bring the hardness way down. And that way when you're cloning, it's going to create a nice soft edge and it'll blend with everything. But wanted to make sure you knew, don't just click these because they're a specific brush type. Okay. Now the other thing with the clone stamp is you almost always want to clone on a separate layer. You can see up here under sample, it says all layers, and you can have a couple other options, but generally all layers works. And that means when I'm cloning, it's going to copy pixels onto this new layer, and I can easily alter it, or if I go too far, delete it. Okay. With the clone stamp, it's very simple. You hold down Option or Alt on a PC, and that's going to turn into your little crosshairs. And you Alt click or Option click on a Mac, and you can see now it's that crosshair is going to be locked there. And if I want that deer over here, I'll just paint, and you can see it's painting. The crosshairs are moving with my brush. And because I have a soft edge brush, it's blending pretty decently with the background. All right, so we're just cloning our animals. All right, now you can almost always tell a rushed clone job because the pixels get a little bit messy, with that feathered edge. But in this case, at 100%, this looks pretty good. All right, if I Option click over here, do it one more time. Again, you can paint. Mouse or tablet, doesn't really matter. And you can see, because I painted in this different area, you can definitely tell that little highlight. We need to get rid of that. And one other thing is, while you're painting, it's never kind of good to, let's say I wanted to get rid of the original deer, right? So I'll Option click, and I'm going to clone. And what I'm doing is I'm constantly resampling because I don't want this stuff to be down here. That wouldn't look right. So I'll just resample. And the one thing you have to be careful of, you don't want to cloned pixels. So once I have this kind of set up, and you notice again, I'm going to the level in the same distance, right? And but I don't want to Option click here because cloned pixels, just like in a sci-fi movie, it never turns out right. Okay, but again, you just Option click, make sure it's on. Sample all layers, and then again, you have the same controls as everything else, opacity and flow, and a couple of different settings. But always sample on a blank layer. You can turn it off and on, and give it a shot.